called scope within it, which will be an object, and this object will have property value, key value pairs. What will be those key value pairs? Corresponding directives. Remember the ng model thing? Correct? So this variable, this will be a key of this thing. And what will be its value? Whatever value there is. So you can get this value in your scope, in your controller, and you can do whatever the hell you want with it. Correct? Added benefit is you don't need to, like, if you use this same value in curly braces in your directive, it will get updated there also. So you don't need to like think about any event or something. You just need to think about directives and controllers. And whatever the variables you put in your directives, you will get it in your controllers. So you can do whatever you want. Now, what is this service thing? This is basically the same thing. So how would you do the same thing? In jQuery, some event fired, you already attached the event listener, and you need to get that element from the DOM. You will get it from by ID using some jQuery function, and you need to send it to the server. How will you do it?
Get post.
Get post, correct. So you will do this jQuery.ajax or jQuery.post or jQuery. Bunch of functions are there, correct? Those who don't know, that's fine. I mean, you will call a function, jQuery function, which will make a get or put or post or whatever request to your server, and you will send your parameters into that thing. jQuery also abstracts something from like basic AJAX request, this X HTTP request object. So you don't have to do a bunch of boilerplate here. But even with jQuery, there is a bunch of boilerplate. So services come in that domain. So for interacting with your HTML, you need to do only bindings, data bindings. If you need to take some element from one scope and put it into another scope, that is called dependency, or what like I don't want to use the term. So there is a very neat way to do it, like very clean way to do it. So you can take variables from one scope, and if you want, you can give those variables to another scope which can use them. So you don't have to think events at all. You will just think, okay, this is my HTML, these are my controllers, this controller controls this element, correct? Something changes here, these values will be available in controller. If I need to make some request to this thing, I will call, so there is a service called HTTP in Angular. So it will take care of everything. It will make requests, it will parse the data, it will handle the errors, it will do everything which I need to write code. So I will do HTTP.get or post this, and after this, do whatever you want to, like after it has done this, whatever you want to do. So apart from this, just talking to your server, there could be a bunch of this thing. Services, like I just told you that you can pass variables from one scope to another scope, from this element to that element. How did you do it in jQuery? You listened to an event, you took value from here, getting by ID, you put it there, correct? So if you do it for multiple elements, and after some time you will not know from where a particular element is getting updated, correct? It could be you may have written event listeners for a bunch of elements which update the same thing. So if there is a bug, you will not know which one is updating this thing. So that is also one problem which I just remembered. So to talk between two controllers, you use services. To do anything else, correct? So you talk to within controllers, you use services. You want to talk to backend, you use services. You want to talk to some third-party API, you use services. You don't need to think, like you only need to know, okay, there is a service, maybe you need to write some service. Writing service means that thing only. In jQuery, you need to write AJAX request and get the response and then do all those calculations. Writing service means the same thing. You just think about that, okay, this is a service. When you were writing jQuery, you were not thinking that this is a service. You were thinking about this is something I need to do when this happens, and this will obviously, so after, I mean, you are not thinking about, okay, this is a service, correct? This function is a service. So it's just a conceptual difference. And that's what a framework means. You have a bunch of concepts and you organize your code around that concept so that if somebody else comes, he will know exactly what is happening. If there is a service defined, he will know there is a service. It has nothing to do with HTML or whatever. It will do some helper tasks. If there is a controller defined, he will know that it has nothing to do with doing helper tasks or doing something. It will just manipulate. It will just handle this some particular directive or some particular element. So it's very like, this is also called MVC pattern, but let's just not focus on that. The basic idea is how you think about your code. In vanilla JavaScript, in normal, vanilla means normal JavaScript, and in jQuery, you think about your front-end code in terms like these. There are events happening, there are some functions which will respond to those events, and we are manipulating DOM in response to those events. We are calling some API or something in response to those things. In Angular, you think, okay, there is no DOM, there is no event happening, there is a directive, and there is a controller. Something is changing here, I will know, and I will do this. I mean, I don't have to write the code which will attach the event listeners. I don't have to write the code which will make the AJAX request. So the amount of code I have to write and I have to think about is very small now. I don't need to worry about the bugs in my AJAX request, in my event listeners, in my DOM manipulations and all those things. That's what Angular does for you. This is Angular 1, by the way. So
Okay,
I don't know.
I think we can take a break now.
Yeah?